A car sits sideways on a dark rural road. It's February 9th, 2004, 7:27 p.m. The snowbanks along Route 112 in New Hampshire are high and crusted with ice. The air is bitter, the kind of cold that burns your lungs when you breathe too fast. Inside the vehicle, a young woman has just crashed. Minutes later, she will no longer be there. Her name is Maura Murray, and what happened in the short window between that crash and the arrival of police remains one of the most unsettling disappearances in modern American history. This is Yeah the Detective, and tonight, we reconstruct the vanishing. Maura Murray was 21 years old, a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, intelligent, athletic, quiet, competitive. She had previously attended West Point before transferring. Discipline was part of her background. But in the days leading up to her disappearance, something shifted. On Thursday, February 5th, Maura received a phone call while at her campus security job. After hanging up, she became visibly upset. A supervisor later reported that she appeared catatonic. When asked what was wrong, she reportedly said, "My sister." Her older sister Kathleen had struggled with alcoholism. That much was known. But what exactly was said in that phone call? That has never been publicly clarified in full. The next day, Friday, Maura emailed her professors, claiming there had been a death in her family and that she would be gone for a week. There was no death. She also searched online for directions to locations in Vermont and New Hampshire, specifically areas known for cabins and quiet retreats. She called several rental properties. She withdrew nearly all the money in her bank account, around $280. She purchased alcohol, vodka, Kahlua, Baileys, wine coolers. Then she packed her dorm room. Some belongings were boxed neatly, artwork removed from walls. To some, it looked like preparation. To others, it looked like a break. On Monday, February 9th, sometime after 4 p.m., Maura left campus in her black Saturn sedan. She did not tell anyone exactly where she was going. At 7:27 p.m., a local resident heard a thud outside his home along Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. The Saturn had crashed into a snowbank near a curve known locally as a dangerous stretch. A neighbor, Butch Atwood, a school bus driver, stopped to check on the driver. He later reported seeing a young woman, shaken but conscious. He offered to call police. She declined. She told him she had already called AAA. There was no cell service in that area. He returned to his house and called police anyway. Police were dispatched at 7:29 p.m. Officer Cecil Smith arrived around 7:46 p.m. The car was there. Maura was not. 17 minutes, somewhere within that window, Maura Murray disappeared into darkness. The Saturn showed signs of impact, but not catastrophic damage. The windshield was cracked on the driver's side. There was red liquid inside the vehicle, later determined to be spilled wine. Her belongings were still inside: alcohol, her school books, birth control pills, personal items, her phone, her wallet. Her keys were gone. Dogs tracked her scent eastbound along the road for approximately 100 yards. Then it stopped, as if she got into another vehicle, or as if scent conditions interfered. The temperature that night hovered around freezing. Snowbanks were deep. Visibility was low. No confirmed sightings have ever placed her alive beyond that crash scene. So what happened? Let's slow this down. In the days before her disappearance, there were warning signs. Maura had been involved in a car accident just 2 days earlier. She crashed her father's Toyota Corolla after leaving a party. No one was injured, but it added stress. Her father had been visiting that weekend, helping her shop for a new car, financial pressure, academic pressure, relationship pressure. Her boyfriend at the time was away in the military. Some reports suggest strain. Was she overwhelmed? Was this an intentional getaway? Or something else? Let's examine the crash itself. There were no signs of another vehicle being directly involved, but some argue the damage could suggest impact beyond a simple slide into a snowbank. There was a rag found stuffed in the Saturn's tailpipe. Why? Her father later stated he had advised her to do that if the car was smoking, as a temporary fix to avoid being pulled over. If true, That implies preparation. But preparation for what? Police did not initially treat this as a criminal case. They assumed she may have fled to avoid a DUI. Alcohol was present. She may have panicked. But here's the problem. If she fled into the woods in those conditions without proper winter gear, survival odds drop quickly. Extensive searches were conducted. Helicopters, ground teams, thermal imaging, nothing. No footprints leading deep into snowbanks. No clothing remnants. No remains. Which brings us to the primary theories. Theory 1. She ran away intentionally. Supporters of this theory point to the packed dorm room, the withdrawn money, the lie about a family death, the searched directions. But here's the flaw. Why crash the car? Why leave belongings behind? Why not take money, phone, essentials? Running away requires planning beyond 17 minutes of roadside improvisation. Theory 2. Accidental death in the woods. She panics, leaves the scene, gets disoriented, succumbs to exposure, but search teams covered miles. Snow preserves evidence. Nothing. Theory 3. Picked up by a passing motorist. This is where things turn darker. Route 112 is rural, but not abandoned. A predator could have seen a vulnerable young woman alone, offering help, offering warmth. Train 17 minutes is enough time for a vehicle to stop, but no confirmed witness reports seeing her enter another car. Theory 4, foul play connected to someone she knew. Some theorists suggest she may have arranged to meet someone. The location was not random. It was along a known scenic route, but no confirmed communications show a rendezvous. Her phone records do not reveal a final call arranging a meeting, unless something was deleted. Her cell phone has never been recovered beyond the crash scene. And then there is the scent trail stopping abruptly. That detail continues to haunt investigators. If she walked, scent would continue. If she entered a vehicle, scent stops. Unless weather conditions interfered. Let's examine the timeline tighter. 7:27, crash. 7:29, police dispatched. Approximately 7:35, last known sighting by neighbor. 7:46, officer arrives. Some reports suggest a second police vehicle may have been in the area earlier, disputed, but the timeline remains narrow. The road conditions were icy, dark. Is it possible she hit her head in the crash? Disoriented, wandered off. The windshield crack suggests possible head impact, but there was no blood evidence indicating severe injury. Then there is her emotional state. Phone call days earlier, credit card fraud incident at West Point years prior, perfectionist tendencies. Was this a psychological breaking point? Or are we layering narrative onto coincidence? One of the most disturbing aspects of this case is how clean it is. No confirmed struggle, no ransom, no digital footprint afterward, just absence. Over the years, tips have come in, sightings reported, confessions made by unreliable sources, none verified. In 2017, new searches were conducted near the crash site. Still nothing. No remains, no clothing, no trace. And statistically speaking, prolonged disappearances without financial activity often suggest death. But how and where? The forest did not give her back. The road gave no answers. If she was picked up, that person has remained silent for 2 decades. Which brings us to the psychological question. What kind of offender would seize that opportunity? A transient predator? Someone local familiar with blind curves and low police presence? Or was she not fleeing from police at all, but from something else entirely? Let's consider another possibility. What if the crash was not random? What if it was staged? Damage analysis suggests impact at a curve. But some experts have questioned whether the crash dynamics fully align. However, there is no solid forensic evidence of staging. And without the vehicle preserved under modern forensic standards, many answers may be gone forever. Maura Murray's case endures because it sits in that rare category. Documented disappearance with tight timeline. No digital era clarity, just enough evidence to suggest multiple possibilities, but not enough to prove one. If she ran, where did she go? If she was taken, by whom? If she died in the woods, why hasn't she been found? The absence becomes louder than any clue. Years pass, families age, search teams rotate, internet forums dissect every second. But February 9th, 2004 remains frozen. A car in snow, a curve in the road, a 17-minute window, and a young woman who stepped into darkness and never stepped back out. So here's the question, detectives. If you had 17 minutes to vanish, would you need help, or could you disappear alone? Comment your theory below, and if you want deeper breakdowns of real unsolved cases, timelines, psychology, and evidence dissected without fluff, like this video, subscribe to Yeah the Detective, because some people go missing and some cases refuse to close. This one, still open.